Hello. I would like to talk to you about grounding today. There are so many different definitions of what grounding could be, but really what it is presence anchoring. Grounding is the practice of bringing yourself back into the body and the present moment to create safety and stability. So often mindfulness and grounding get kind of interchanged. Mindfulness is awareness, and it is the practice of paying attention on purpose to the present moment, without having judgment about what's happening in it. The key difference is that you can be mindful and dysregulated. So you can be anxious and aware that you are, but still spiraling out of control or feeling like you're going out of control. Grounding helps you shift your state. So it helps you bring your body and your nervous system back down into a settled state. Mindfulness is like turning the lights on, whereas grounding is putting your feet on the floor. So when you bring trauma into the picture, that's when the difference between mindfulness and grounding becomes really important to pay attention to. Because trauma lives less in what you think and more in what your body and your nervous system are doing, how they are reacting, because what you really want to happen is for them to respond. When you have trauma, the brain is wired for prediction and protection. So that can look like hypervigilance, where you're scanning for danger. Where's the bear in the room? It can also look like anxiety and panic if there is a bear or a threat of one. It can look like shutdown or numbness, disassociation, or freezing. It can even look like just emotional overwhelm or people pleasing in order to make everybody safe and happy so that you're safe and happy. So the goal is not necessarily to be aware in that. The goal is to teach your entire system to feel safe enough in the present moment and being aware that you're in it. So where mindfulness will help notice those patterns and increase your self-awareness, you can create space between you and the reactions that you have through grounding. So it helps you name what's happening, notice your body experience, normalize it for what it's doing for you, because they're all doing something for you when you have that reaction or response. And then you want to be able to nurture the experience, to bring yourself back into the present moment, back into that safety. It's so powerful to be able to simply notice where you are and how you're feeling tight, constricted, heavy, light, where you're feeling open or closed. And to be able to label the emotion, which is called affect labeling, helps to identify what is actually happening within. We cannot change what we do not recognize. So if you are triggered by a threat and reacting, it's going to lead to unregulated awareness. You know what is happening, but you do not know how to change it. So there's no relief, only the feeling of being stuck in that endless loop of where you're at. When you learn how to ground, you're able to return to that present moment, to signal to your system, I am safe. And then you can reduce your overwhelm and hopefully respond in a different way. When you reconnect your body, mind, and spirit, you are able to feel safe so that you do not have those past-based survival reactions. And then you can learn to respond. You can feel your body, orient to where you are, slow down your breathing, notice what it's doing, if your heart rate is going, if your breath is going slower or faster. And then you can feel something solid to touch or soft. You can hear what's happening around you. You can be in the present moment through taste. So something really strong, like those little cinnamon hearts, if you carry those, or a mint, can bring your senses into alert and bring you to the present moment. You can even try smelling something so that you can be in the here and now. A lot of people will wear those bracelets with the beads that they can put essential oils in so that they can smell them. Although I realize a lot of places do not have you're not supposed to do that anymore. Anyway, it's one suggestion. Mindfulness is the awareness of the trauma response, but grounding is the regulation of it. Both of these matter in order to build on that coherence of mind, body, and spirit. If you are working through mindfulness, this is amazing. You're noticing what is happening, you're grounding, brings you back into the deeper awareness and the processing, so it cannot be skipped. If you skip grounding, then you risk overwhelm of the entire system. I support people to notice their patterns and their mindfulness, to build that in order to regulate their system with grounding, and then to move into identity shifting, mindset changes, behavioral changes in order to reprogram. I also do energy work and healing from a shamanic standpoint. You do not ask people to become a new version of themselves while their body is still feeling unsafe. So if you want to manifest a different life, a different job, a different relationship, you cannot create that, or at least maintain it, if you don't feel safe within it. So without the grounding, your body resists change, your mindset returns to that old patterning, and your behavior eventually shifts back as well, because it's safe and familiar to be back in that pattern. The new identity feels unsafe, so the old patterning wins. However, with grounding, your body allows expansion. New choices begin to feel possible, and your identity shifts become actually sustainable. In trauma work, mindfulness helps you see the pattern, whereas grounding helps your body feel safe enough to change it. And real transformation only happens when both are working together. There are various definitions out there of both mindfulness and grounding, as I said before, that people will embody. For example, a lot of people will relate mindfulness or grounding with breath work, yoga, meditation, even sound baths. Yoga is an amazing activity. It builds the awareness and the connection of your body, mind, and spirit. It is really good for people with ADHD and trauma because it builds on your choice as a sovereign being. It gives you choice in how deep you go into a movement or posture. It gives you choice in if you even do it. It also gives you choice in how you are breathing in a movement. And it gives you connection into all of that. It allows you to accept your body where it's at least to build on that acceptance. When we're doing these kind of activities like yoga or stretching, we are building up on our awareness of our bodies and how our body is related to our thoughts and our, of course, spirit. Your meditation practices will teach you to build awareness on how you are sitting or laying, how you're holding your body, how you're breathing, and what you're doing with your thoughts. If you're trying to control your thoughts or you're constantly judging them, even I am thinking too much, if you're struggling with your ego-based thoughts, if you're struggling with silence, or even the music that's playing, then you are able to better connect with what emotions you have tied to different thoughts. You can build on that awareness. It's not a negative thing to have all that happening. It's a building of awareness that it is happening. And if you meditate through guided meditations, you can actually understand a little bit more about how deep you can go visually or energetically in different ways. Maybe sense or taste or touch. Maybe it's more about emotion for you when you're in a meditative state. So it really builds on that connection. And then our body releases hormones, neurotransmitters, fire. We have like DMT, serotonin, cortisol. All of these can change and shift in our bodies when we're in one of those meditative states or yoga practice. All of this mindful awareness will support grounding. So let's think about a little bit of different type of grounding. And that's somatic grounding. Bringing awareness into your body is part of it. It's an anchor. But being present within the grounding, being present in the present, helps you get out of the past where you may have activated different feelings of resentment for what people did, or regret for what you did, Or it could be that you activate longing for those happier times that you wish you could get back. And when we're activating our grounding and we're being mindful of the present moment, we're also getting away from the future, where that fear lives of what is unknown, where we feel excitement for what is coming, or anxiety, or even where we are focused on unaccomplished hope of what we hope to bring in. We want to be in the present moment and bring our intention to ourselves, to how our body feels in the moment, and then we want to ground there. So again, think of it as an anchor, bringing you into the present moment. And then I really want to talk about something else that's brought up with grounding, which is physical, actual grounding. They're called grounding mats, or you can even get grounding shoes. So it comes from a movie on YouTube, which is free to watch, so I totally recommend it, called Earthing. And earthing is about the practice of making direct physical contact with the earth. So it could be walking barefoot on the grass, on sand, on soil. It transfers this negative electric charge into your body. And I know it sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's actual science, and they've researched this. The electron transfer is believed to balance your body's electrical state, and it helps to reduce inflammation, stress, it improves sleep, it neutralizes the positively charged free radicals in your system. It really is legitimate, and I want you to watch the movie. If you don't believe me, they will show you the research. We know that the Earth's surface has a negative electrical charge, and that acts as a vast reservoir of all these electrons. And when you touch it, you absorb these electrons, which acts as a pressure release valve for your body's cellular energy production. Studies suggest that grounding will help lower your stress cortisol hormone. It decreases pain and inflammation. And it also helps with your mood, your energy, your sleep, and pain. So, for example, when I first heard about this and I heard how it helped with sleep, I had to get one of these mats. Now, just for a point of reference, in Canada, we cannot order from the Earthing website in the States. But if you reach out to me, I'll let you know which site I used up here. It's like a partner of them. Anyway, my partner would get 15% deep sleep, which is horrible. They would tell him in research or in studies that they did, sleep studies, that he was like a walking zombie, and they were surprised he could even cope. Anyway, once I got this mat, his deep sleep completely changed. He was getting 60 to 75%, which is pretty average. So it really changed our life according to how he was sleeping and inflammation. Anyway, very useful. Check it out. And I wanted to mention that because the earth is actually a grounding tool to use. When you are walking in bare feet, you can just take a moment to really notice how your body feels. Okay, so there is research to show that the earth legitimately gives us healing energy, which is pretty spectacular. And in all the things I love, science and spiritual side of things kind of match up. In mental health and coaching, we know that we focus on healing and expansion through transforming who we have been into who we want to be. In this way, grounding is connecting your energy to something stable and supportive. Somatically, this would be your 5 senses or breath work and your body, your nervous system. So you're not energetically scattered or disconnected anymore. If you were to imagine right now, I want you to think of someone that you love, just their image. And if having a visual image is difficult for you, then just pull their name up in your mind and notice what emotion comes and what thoughts come. Beautiful. Now I want you to think of something that scares you. Either picture it in your mind or the word for it. Got it? What is the thought that's tied to that? Perfect. Now shift it again into something that makes you sad. Something that makes you feel almost like crying because you feel so sad. either the image of it or the name. Perfect. What did you think of when you considered the one that you feel love for? The actual thought. What did you think of when you felt fear? What was the thought? And what about the thought that you had attached to the feeling of emotion of sadness? Again, what was that thought tied to it? You see, sometimes we actually feel like we're not in control of our thoughts, like they just spiral on some random, never ending production base of what we feel. And we have no ability to redirect them or have any say in where they go. But the truth is, although we are human and we have these thought patterns or cognitive distortions, or we also have cognitive flexibility. And just like our behavioral patterns, our thought patterns come from learning through our experiences. We're taught how to think or how not to think or how to feel about our thinking. Our thoughts are not who we are. They are something we do, something we can also have the power to shift, something that is actually in our control, even when it doesn't feel like they are. We can learn to shift our thinking, our mindset, through mindfulness and grounding, just as we can learn to process and experience emotion and our body experiences or behaviors. Our thoughts are not some separate entity. They are just more of our energy. They are part of our coherence, our system, and we can learn to shape them in the same way as every other part of our system. By me suggesting different emotional experiences above, you had different thoughts. That was through suggestion. And by learning to build your own suggestions, you too can create more cognitive flexibility in order to shift your thinking and release what doesn't serve you. Has everyone heard of Rumi? He's this amazing poet. I've loved him for decades, but lately he's getting a lot of recall by different people. Anyway, Rumi said, "Look past your thoughts so you may drink the nectar of this moment." Isn't that beautiful? Instead of focusing on the thoughts, look past them. Look past into how they feel, into how they cause you to behave, into how they feel in your nervous system and your body. And then be in the moment without judgment. Mentally, we can learn to shift in our thoughts and our emotions by understanding our patterning with mindfulness and then grounding into the present moment for safety. That doesn't mean that those emotions or thoughts will vanish. It means you're able to feel safe in the present moment, and even for a few of those present moments, release what isn't in the now. It isn't about allowing yourself to control everything. It's more about not allowing those thoughts, emotions, or body experiences to control you. Just allow what is to be and to be present, and then move on to the next present moment with a sense of, I am okay, I am safe. Now, I want to bring grounding into a different sense, and that is how we connect with it spiritually. The spiritual side of grounding, which kind of is similar to how we ground with the earth. We ground in our bodies. Spiritual grounding is the process of bringing your energy, awareness, and insight back into your body, into the present reality, so that it can actually be lived and integrated. It's not about disconnecting from spirituality, from higher source. It's about embodying it. And when we ground spiritually, we know that we are being connected to something greater while we're still here. Meaning, we can feel our body, but access our intuition and expanded consciousness. We can integrate insight into our actual life through being expanded, but also stable. It isn't about an escape or moving away from discomfort or emotions and reality that we don't like. It's about becoming open and flexible to the connection of our energy and alignment with intention. When you are spiritually grounding, you're bringing energy into your body and stabilizing the expansive process, which makes your channel of energy clearer, including your intuition and supporting what you need to do next. Oh my God, I'm saying it all. When you are spiritually grounding, you are bringing energy into your body, stabilizing the expansive process, making your channel of energy clearer, including your intuition, and supporting what you need to do next in order to allow deeper insight to enter and change your life. Without grounding, all of that can become abstract, but with grounding, the insight and alignment supports your embodied change. Grounding feels like calmness with awareness. It feels like a connection to your core while also feeling connected to what is bigger than you. It's this vibration of divine oneness where you feel presence without scattering of overwhelm. It doesn't have to be complex or complicated. You don't have to do 20 different steps in order to feel grounded. Grounding spiritually can be about bringing your attention into your body with a body scan, or drawing attention to different parts of the physical world. Your body is a bridge between spiritual awareness and lived reality, so it can be used in this way to ground. It can be about connecting to your energy and what vibration you're at, or if you have any outside energy, like your aura. After any kind of grounding, it's also really useful to journal. This could be with prompts like, what does grounding look like in my life? What's one thing I can do today moving forward to improve on my grounding? What does grounding do for my connection to something bigger than me? Breathing slower, moving your body, or simplifying your focus can improve on your grounding. If you want to expand but you do not regulate, then it creates this instability. And that's why sometimes having a guide or support to get there can help. I want you to reach out to me for some coaching or private meditations if you're seeking that kind of grounding, or go to a local breath work or sound bath or a meditation class, or at least begin to keep a record of how you are improving in ways you're learning to ground yourself and how it feels when you do versus when you don't. When we ground spiritually, it allows us to manifest and to actually integrate what we are trying to manifest. Identity shifts begin to stick, timelines shift easier, and our nervous system begins to accept the expansion that we're on. We begin to feel connected rather than stuck. When we ground, the body says yes. Action becomes possible. Change becomes sustainable. Mind connections into a possibility rather than what we can't do. Change happens with spirit connected to it. When we're in our truth, grounding brings us into our bodies, and it helps us accept our bodies where we are. So if you're not grounding, you're not completing the process of change or acceptance or alignment. Okay, so right now, wherever you are, we are going to do a grounding. This is one of the grounding tools that I use most frequently. If you don't want to be a part of like a meditative kind of grounding process, I suggest you skip past this to the end of the show. Otherwise, I want you to just relax where you're at. If you're walking or driving, that's okay, as long as you don't close your eyes. And I just want you to pay attention right now to how your body feels. If your feet are on the ground or the floor, just notice how they feel. Where are your hands? Notice. Notice how these feel. Are they touching something? What is its texture? What is its temperature? How does it feel to be against your skin? Notice where your eyes are, what they're drawn to, the colors that they see, the shapes. Notice how it feels right here, right now, as you breathe. Is your breath slow and relaxed? Is it speeding up? And what about when you take a deep breath in through your nose and feel it go all the way down into your belly, and then release it with a big, loud, audible sigh? How does that feel for your body? If you're sitting, notice what you're sitting on, how it feels against your skin or against your legs or body. Does it feel supportive or hard? Does it have a temperature? Does it have a texture that you feel? Does it move? Just notice how it feels. Be in the present moment. So that's a simple way of grounding. It's not the woo-woo kind of meditative process I take people down and through when I ground them into the earth. That is just a simple grounding into your body. And you can do that at any point in time. If you begin to feel anxiety is lifting up and triggering you into a point where you're no longer in the present moment, try that. Just notice what's around you, notice where you're at, and notice your body. And allow it to direct you back to the present moment where you're safe. It's okay to have emotion, but you don't need to be triggered to back in the past. You don't need to be triggered to worrying about the future. You can have emotion and not allow it to control you. And that is how you learn to respond. I hope you enjoyed this episode on grounding. And don't forget to like, share, and please leave a comment. It really does help me. And practice your grounding today.